Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am Coach Lilia Labonte, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about narcissistic wives and how to prepare for when she does call the cops on you and make false accusations. Okay, I understand that you think it's not going to happen, like, oh, this is the mother of my children, we've been together for decades. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because most of the clients that I work with have had the false accusations made against them, and most of them have had cops called on them, okay? Before I continue, please do schedule a one-on-one session with me if you need help navigating this, if you are in this situation, and of course, subscribe to my channel if this information is helpful for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Number one, obviously, documentation. I mean, you have to have everything documented, especially if you have any texts or audio recordings of her threats where she verbally says that, oh, I'm going to accuse you of this. I'm going to say that you hit me. I'm going to say that you abused me. If you have any records of that, you should. That's how you best prepare yourself, okay? So any sort of messages, any sort of recordings, even things that might not seem super hostile, super threatening, still have that record because, again, later down the road, when it's your word against hers, all of this is going to help you. Especially if you also have any sort of records of her aggressive behavior towards you. Maybe she's hit you, maybe she's said some very awful things to you, maybe she's been abusive to the kids. So anything like that, and also try to have it in chronological order. So I do like for my clients to prepare for the divorce way ahead and to prepare for this specific situation when the woman makes accusations, because that is their best attack. Because again, when it's her word against your word, and when the police arrive, guess what happens? They don't ask questions. They take the guy away, and then later you have to put your life together. Obviously, when you're keeping this documentation, please make sure you're keeping it in a safe place where she's not going to find it, because guess what's going to happen if she does? Second one, you want to avoid and de-escalate conflict by simply removing yourself from situations, and try to do it before the aggression really kicks in, because there's a lot of reactive abuse that's most likely happening where she can push your buttons and you do start to become aggressive. You start yelling, you start defending yourself. And I've had cases where, for example, she will block the door and you will maybe push her out of the way, right? And she will fall and maybe get a bruise, and then she'll say, oh my God, you hit me, you abused me. I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to send it to everyone and tell them who you really are. And I've actually had this happen to my client where he pushed her out of the way, she fell, she got a bruise, and she sent the picture to his family, and his family doesn't talk to him to this day. So, things like this. And later, if the cops arrive and she's got a bruise on her and she says, oh, he pushed me, believe me, they're not going to ask more questions. They're going to take you away. So you really need to protect yourself here, okay? So try to remove yourself before she pushes your buttons. And if you feel so unsafe that you might react, then you have to go and spend time in a hotel before you start to get the ball rolling with the divorce. Do that. Do not stay under the same roof if you really feel it coming. Next one here, number 3, you need to start building your support system, your trusted network of people that know what's going on, because when she does accuse you of things, you want to have some witnesses. And if you start talking about this with your friends, with your family, where you start saying that there's so much friction that you feel unsafe, that your wife is making threats that she's going to ruin your life and call the cops on you and accuse you of being an abuser, understand that having people in your network that understand your truth and know who you are is going to help you hugely when it comes to saving your face and saving your reputation. Next one here, please find an attorney that understands family law and that actually understands narcissism and high conflict divorces, okay? Somebody that you can share this with, where you can say, I know that she's going to make false accusations. Here are all the threats that she has made. Here's all the documentation that I have. What can I do for my case? How do I protect myself? Because understand that, again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you want to work with somebody who is a pit bull, who understands your side, and who will act and be aggressive when it comes to it, okay? Because if you're going to call your attorney and you are behind the bars because she's made accusations, because there's nothing you could do in the moment to prove your truth, okay? You want to make sure you're working with somebody who is not only on your side, but understands exactly what they're doing and not underestimating the situation, okay? Because that's the worst that I see, where the lawyer's like, oh, it's not going to get this bad. Oh, we can de-escalate this. No, you cannot. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what she's going to do. So be open about all of your concerns and have this pre-strategy in place for when she does call the cops on you. Okay, period. And to add to that, your lawyer can help you understand what your rights are, because that's another thing. You really need to understand, what are my rights? What can I do in this situation? How can I prevent this? But also, how do I get out safely? Because understand, if you're watching this video, if you have a need to process, how do I prevent my wife from calling the cops? Or what can I do to prepare for that day? You need to get out. What are you doing? Do you understand how unsafe this is? When the woman calls the police on her husband and she starts crying and lying, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to take one person away and it's never going to be her. Okay. Even if she decides in the moment that, oh my God, I changed my mind. This never happened. I acted on my emotions. You know what they will do? They will still take you away. And understand, if this does happen to you, acceptance is everything here. Number 5, what I would do, I would take any threats that your wife has made, all of these concerns, all of these scare tactics, right? And I would go to your local police department and I would say, hey, this is my situation and I don't know what to do. My wife is making these accusations, or my wife is threatening to make these accusations against me. Every time we have an argument, she pushes me to a point and then she says that I'm abusing her when I'm not. And she has threatened multiple times to call the cops on me. And I'm very afraid of when that day comes. What is my life going to be like? What are my rights? And what should I do now to prevent this from happening, to not put myself in that position? And I don't have an answer for you for what they're going to tell you, but I would definitely go and address your concerns just so it's documented, okay? Because if you do get taken by the cops when she calls, right, at least there's some documentation, where it's going to look a little strange. Like, oh, look, this man has addressed his concerns and now it happened. Let's take a closer look at his wife and her emotional health and what's happening in that family dynamic. Okay, so it's not about being the good guy or the bad guy. It's about protecting yourself, because when you do get locked away in jail, when she calls on you, and maybe she's going to have a bruise that she's going to show, maybe she gave that bruise to herself and she's going to say, oh, my husband hits me. It's not the first time. Who do you think they're going to believe, and what do you think your life is going to look like after? And last but not least, obviously, take care of your emotional health, because your central nervous system is probably through the roof right now, right? There's probably so much cortisol and adrenaline that you're living with every day that neurological damage is happening. So post-traumatic stress is something that you probably already have, living in the fight or flight all the time in the survival mode. So what does that mean for you? That reactive abuse, that you can get activated very, very quickly, where she whispers something in your ear and you probably start yelling and defending yourself. And again, maybe you could get to that point, push to that point where you shove her out of the way, and then the finger is pointed at you and you're the abuser in the situation, right? And you at that point are going to have so much guilt and hate yourself so much that you will actually think that you are the abuser indeed. So understand, getting your mental health under control is your number one priority. So whatever works for you, gym, meditation, breath work, therapy, whatever works for you, do it. Because understand, you need to have your emotions under control when she triggers you in front of authorities, in front of the police, in court. You want to not come from a place of aggression. And it's really easy for these women to trigger you. And then you start yelling, you start looking like the aggressor. And then who's going to listen to you at that point? How are you going to prove your truth? So I want you to understand that no matter what's going to happen, it's okay, because this is simply going to give you clarity that it's time to get out. But I certainly hope that you guys are not going to wait to that moment, and that just reflecting on the fact that you have to watch a video like this, okay, this should be enough of a reason for you to leave, because you feel so unsafe in your marriage and you don't even know who you're living with. If you need help navigating this, like I said, you can schedule your one-on-one session with me. The link is in my bio, and we'll see you all in the next video.